Hey, y'all. Thanks for taking a few minutes to check out this weekly devotional and encouragement, and I hope you'll walk away encouraged from this, and I think you will today. We've been going through Romans chapter 8, and we finished in verse 7 and 8 last week, and talks about how if you're living in the flesh, you can't please God. And in verse 9, we're going to pick up what Paul is saying. He says, "You, however, are not in the realm of the flesh, but are in the realm of the Spirit. If indeed the Spirit of God lives in you, and if anyone does not have the Spirit of Christ, they do not belong to Christ. But if Christ is in you, then even though your body is subject to death because of sin, the Spirit gives life because of righteousness. And if the Spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead is living in you, he who raised Christ from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies because of his Spirit who lives in you." What an amazing thing. He says that God's living in you, and that gives you extra life. Obviously, people who don't know God have life, right? We're all alive and breathing, but there's an extra little piece of life that he puts inside of us as we come to know him. He brings us to life, not only for today, but all the way into eternity, forever. And I love that because what it means is this. It means that the decisions you make today, the impact that you have on people's lives today, the way that you go about work today, dealing with your family today, going to the grocery store today, getting frustrated with a coworker today, all of those things, that the way you go about those things not only have a significance today, but into eternity. That everything that we do today matters today and on into eternity. That every choice, every action, every piece of my life matters into eternity. Why? Because Christ is in you. Every act has eternal significance. I love what he says in verse 11, and it's so crazy. It's amazing. He says, "If the Spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead is living in you." I just want to think about that for a second. There's so much in here. We could spend hours going through each of these sections, but I'm trying to keep them brief for you. He says, if the Spirit of him who raised Jesus from the dead is living in you. And if you've accepted Jesus, we've rang the bell for you, then yes, he is. That means that you've got the Spirit that raised Jesus from death inside of you. The greatest power that the world has ever seen. The most amazing miracle that shook the foundations of the earth and changed the entire course of creation and history. That power today is in you. Not inside of you to make you rich or to make great things happen just for you, but that power is inside of you to be able to compel and propel you forward into what God's called you to today. So that when I say that every single act today has eternal significance, that's a heavy thought. I can really screw things up, but I have the greatest power from the Lord ever inside of me right now. And as we've been talking in this series about the blessings that we can receive from God as we come before the altar and come before the ark and receive from him. We receive daily from him, and then we get to go out and do great things. I wonder what this changes in the problems that you're facing today. To be able to look and say, all right, I've got some tough stuff coming, but I've, at the same time, got the Spirit that literally raised Christ from the dead at work in me. There's some amazing things that can be accomplished when you've got that Spirit going and when you're in tune with what he's doing and what he's calling you into. So I'd encourage you today and this week to go after that, to look, say, God, what is it that you're doing in my life through the power of your Spirit, and how can I engage in it? How can I lead out of it? How can I better love out of it? And let him do some amazing things through you. Have a great week.